Imagine the scene. You're watching the trailer for Captain America, New World Order, and suddenly, two Falcons appear flying side by side. Confusing, right? Many people had that feeling of seeing something impossible. But that's where Marvel Comics come in to clarify this doubt. Sam Wilson, the hero we know as Falcon, had already assumed the role of Captain America in the comics, but Falcon's identity was not vague. Someone else took on this mantle, and this video will explain exactly how it happened. Marvel loves to maintain this tradition of passing on legacies between heroes, and this time it would be no different. Now, if you think about it, Falcon's legacy is just as important as Captain America's. Marvel never leaves its heroes without continuity, always finding ways to preserve their stories, even when new characters take on old roles. In the case of Sam Wilson, he couldn't continue to be Falcon and Captain at the same time. It would be the equivalent of trying to drive two cars at the same time, impossible, right? So, it stands to reason that someone would have to fill the void he left. And that's what this video will delve into. Now, the question that remains is, who is this new figure flying alongside Sam Wilson? Well, to understand this, we need to go back in time a little and remember that Falcon has always been a strong symbol, especially in the modern era of Marvel. But the story doesn't stop there. Who has picked up the mantle and is flying alongside the new Captain America? You'll find out right away. Imagine the scene. You're watching the trailer for Captain America, New World Order, and suddenly, two Falcons appear flying side by side. Confusing, right? Many people had that feeling of seeing something impossible. But that's where Marvel Comics come in to clarify this doubt. Sam Wilson, the hero we know as Falcon, had already assumed the role of Captain America in the comics, but Falcon's identity was not vague. Someone else took on this mantle, and this video will explain exactly how it happened. Marvel loves to maintain this tradition of passing on legacies between heroes, and this time it would be no different. Now, if you think about it, Falcon's legacy is just as important as Captain America's. Marvel never leaves its heroes without continuity, always finding ways to preserve their stories, even when new characters take on old roles. In the case of Sam Wilson, he couldn't continue to be Falcon and Captain at the same time. It would be the equivalent of trying to drive two cars at the same time, impossible, right? So, it stands to reason that someone would have to fill the void he left. And that's what this video will delve into. Now, the question that remains is, who is this new figure flying alongside Sam Wilson? Well, to understand this, we need to go back in time a little and remember that Falcon has always been a strong symbol, especially in the modern era of Marvel. But the story doesn't stop there. Who has picked up the mantle and is flying alongside the new Captain America? You'll find out right away. Sam Wilson, the original Falcon, is more than just a Marvel hero. It is a symbol of representation. Debuting in 1969, Sam became the publisher's first African-American superhero, a true milestone for comics. It is no coincidence that it emerged at a time when the United States was undergoing enormous social transformations, such as the Civil Rights Movement. Sam, coming from a neighborhood in Harlem, New York, brought with him the aspirations and struggles of many people who identified with him. And, over the years, he has only flown higher, literally and figuratively. In 2015, Marvel took an even bigger step by transforming Sam into the new Captain America. A bold move, which reaffirmed the importance of the character and the need for heroes who represented diversity. He didn't just don the shield, he carried with him the history and struggle of several generations. And the most interesting thing is that, even as Captain, Falcao's legacy was not left aside. Someone needed to continue this mantle, and that's where Joaquin Torres comes in, the new hero who will carry Sam's wings. Now, with Joaquin Torres taking on the Falcao mantle, the tradition continues. What few know is that Joaquin is a relatively recent character, but his importance is already indisputable. And, in the same way that Sam Wilson represented a change, Joaquin is also here to make history. But what makes him the perfect candidate to be the new Falcao? You'll understand this in a little while.
Joaquin Torres, the new Falcao, carries with him a story that goes far beyond superhero comics. It first appeared in 2015, at a time when the United States was facing heated debates over immigration. Just as Sam Wilson was introduced amid the struggles for civil rights, Joaquin appears in the context of a new political and social battle. Born in Mexico and migrated to the USA as a child, Joaquin brings with him the experience of someone who knows the difficulties and hopes of immigrants seeking a better life. And that shapes who he is as a hero. This characteristic of Joaquin is not just a detail. His identity as a Mexican American is a central part of his journey as the new Falcon. He grew up with a strong sense of social responsibility, helping people crossing the border, leaving food and water for those who risked everything in search of freedom. This commitment to justice and equality makes him a hero who represents not only physical strength, but also a fighting spirit for a better world. Marvel knew how to make good use of this connection, creating a character that resonates with real-world issues. But how does a young man like Joaquin, with such a remarkable life story, become the new Falcao? Well, the answer is not just in your convictions, but in something that goes beyond that. There is a story behind his transformation into a superhero, which involves villains, experiments, and a lot of action. And that's exactly where Joaquin's path begins to cross with that of Sam Wilson, the new Captain America. Stay tuned to understand how this dynamic will shape the future of the MCU.
Joaquin Torres' journey to become the new Falcao is, to say the least, dramatic and full of twists and turns. While still a teenager, he was kidnapped by the Children of the Serpent, a racist group that has long troubled Marvel heroes, especially the Avengers. These villains have a history of causing trouble, and with Joaquin it was no different. After being captured, he was handed over to the sinister Dr. Malice, a mad scientist who performed disturbing experiments on his prisoners. And that's when Joaquin's life changed forever. Dr. Malice used the genetic material of Red Wing, Sam Wilson's faithful companion, to transform Joaquin into a human hybrid with Falcon characteristics. He gained real wings, not artificial ones like Sam's, and a psychic link with Red Wing himself. Furthermore, he developed a healing factor, making him much more resistant than usual. Imagine Joaquin's surprise when he discovered that he now had extraordinary powers. But with that also came the responsibility of following in the footsteps of his mentor, the new Captain America. After being rescued by Sam, Joaquin began training alongside the hero and, over time, became the new Falcao. This partnership recreated a dynamic that many fans love, Captain America and Falcon, fighting side by side. But this time they both have wings. This story of transformation and friendship shapes what we will see next in the MCU films, with Joaquin taking his place in the cinematic universe. But how exactly will the MCU adapt this narrative? Let's talk about that next.
Joaquin Torres' adaptation for the MCU has already begun, but with some changes that make sense for the cinema. Instead of being presented as a teenager kidnapped by a mad scientist, we saw Joaquin as a soldier in the series The Falcon and the Winter Soldier. This decision greatly simplifies the narrative and makes it easier for the audience to follow. After all, the idea of a vampire falcon and scientific experiments is a bit exaggerated for the big screen. But the essence of the character is intact. He is still someone with a strong sense of justice and prepared to follow in Sam Wilson's footsteps. What's next for Joaquin in the MCU? He will most likely receive a technological suit similar to Sam's, equipped with the famous wings. However, it wouldn't be surprising if Marvel changed some details, bringing something more original and unique to it. In the comics, Sam Wilson was part of a military unit that used this type of equipment, and it is quite possible that this will also be explored in the films, showing that the technology can be replicated. Maybe it won't just be Joaquin, but a whole troop of Falcons in the future. With Captain America: New World Order set to premiere in February, we can expect to see more of Joaquin Torres. The film will bring new clues about this hero's fate and how he fits into Captain America's legacy. Furthermore, with toy leaks and set photos, it's almost certain that we'll see Torres flying side by side with Sam, forming a new generation of heroes. And you, are you ready to see how this dynamic will unfold?
Now that you know everything about Falcon and the new Captain America, the question remains, what are you going to do with this information? Did you already see the importance of Sam Wilson and Joaquin Torres in this new Marvel scenario, or did this change your view? What's more, does the legacy they carry have anything to do with what you are experiencing now? Just as Sam had to prepare to carry the shield and Joaquin to take flight as the new Falcon, you too have your own legacy to build. Are you prepared for this responsibility? Take this chance and think about what you can do to become the hero of your own story. If you think that these transformations not only affect comics, but also the way we see the world, comment below, and let's exchange ideas about it. I want to know your opinion. And, of course, you won't leave without subscribing to the channel and activating the bell. This way you can stay up to date with all the news in the Marvel Universe and everything that is happening with Falcon, Captain America, and so many other heroes. It's up to you to follow this journey, and I'll be here, bringing you everything firsthand. See you in the next video.